Welcome to the Power of One. Today, I am going to be speaking with a young lady who is brave enough to tell her story. And this is a very hard story to listen to, but understand we are telling this story in hopes that no other young lady ever has to go through this. Welcome to the show, Miss Rose.
Thank you so much, Miss Melany Nelson, for having me. I'm grateful to be here and I'm excited to share my truth once again to whoever listens.
Okay. So let's start this story. And we understand that sexual abuse starts with a grooming stage. And your story is very heartbreaking, as all stories are. But then when some things happen in your life with some people who we think are protectors, it makes the story even more horrible. So I want you to walk the viewers through your story from the grooming stage, and I'm sure I'll interject, to when it came to an end.
Absolutely. Guys, again, I'm Deborah Rose. So let's start out. I was a 10-year-old girl who joined a promising karate class full of champion winners. And this predator said to me, I can make you a champion. Now, I didn't realize what champion he was talking or referring about, but it was referring about a champion for himself. He was referring to a piece, a trophy that he could flaunt around and people in front of their faces and they not even know what he was doing to me. So this police officer was a Philadelphia police officer. And I joined his karate class at 10 years old. And that is when the grooming started. So when we look at protectors, most parents, most kids, they will be gullible. They will be naive. They will look at them like they can do no wrong. They look at them, whatever they say is true, and you must do it. Either in the beginning for trust or later out of fear. So this man, this karate teacher, this expert, this police officer worked with many children throughout the years before myself and after me. During that grooming process of 10 years old, he had befriended my family. He had accepted my brothers in there to do martial arts with me, while all planning for me to be his toy, his sexual toy. And me as 10 years old, not knowing, I trusted this police officer. I trusted him with my life. I liked the environment. I didn't know he was doing anything wrong to me. I didn't even know he was grooming me for the torture to come later. So this police officer became very close with my family, my brothers, other people. His reputation at the time preceded himself. The reputation of him being this great man, this great karate teacher, this great police officer, he's going to protect you. So little by little, the people that are in your corner to protect you, you still have to keep an eye on them. Because the moment you take all cards off the table for them, that is when, if they are a predator, they will start grooming and making their moves right under your noses. So parents, please watch out for this. Watch out for your children and speak to your children. Because Miss Melany, if someone would have spoke to me, if my mother would have spoke to me, now we're not going to get into that. If anyone would have spoke to me. But in their defense, if I didn't say anything, how would they know if they don't know the signs to pay attention to for someone that is so calculated? Now, he's a first responder, used to responding in emergency situations. Grooming a 10-year-old is very, very easy for him to do. And that is what he took advantage of. He took advantage of a family where they see weakness. See, predators look for weaknesses, and they will look for the weaknesses in your family, and it will dive their way in, and they will run around the barricades like a bunch of waves coming your way, and you don't even see the knockout that's really coming. And that is what this man did. This man groomed me by doing little things, people. Little things like playing with my hair, talking like a baby to a 10-year-old, calling things nicknames in karate class, doing martial arts moves, touching me inappropriately while showing me the move, and no one even thought of a thing. Now, someone should be able to teach martial arts to children without someone thinking that they're being touched inappropriately. Because some things involve touching, as far as grappling, throwing, certain movements, so you can learn how to defend yourself. But what I didn't know is how to defend myself against a predator. Didn't know as a child that I would be facing the worst thing that's coming in my life. So the grooming happened for 2 years, 10 years old to 12 years old. Now, when we got to 11 years old, the inappropriateness was very blatant. Pornography was shown. Aloneness was shown. What I mean is he would take me and my brother out. He would separate us too. So anybody, pay attention, parents. Pay attention. Ask your children, were you together the whole time? I'm giving you the hints. Because that's what they do. Your parents aren't around, now I can separate children. Because children are not going to run back and tell, hey, mommy, they separated us. He separated us. He took me here and took him there. My brother was older than me, but he still could not read a calculated person of his nature.
When he would separate the both of you, and then the as far as watching the inappropriate videos and the inappropriate touching, where would that occur?
These things will occur at the police district, the 39th district, inside of a gym at the 39th district, when my brother wasn't in there, when he would leave out and go to the bathroom. I mean, you would think that how can he act that fast? But the truth is he can do it. Predators can do it. He would say that I was going to a female computer room. There's no such thing. I worked in the 39th district when I became a police officer. There's no such thing. But take me out of that district, leave my brother in the gym, and take me to Fairmount Park to have sexual relations, to have inappropriateness at first, like fondling him, making me touch his penis. We're going to use the real terms here because they want you to use nicknames. That's what predators do. So they can still wheel you in as a child, and you think they're playing a game with you when really they're taking your innocence. And that's what happened. It would happen any and everywhere after that. Once the penetration started at 12 years old, it was all bets off for him. He was so blatant in front of their face that they couldn't even see it. They had filters on built around his reputation. When someone has filters on, they can't see. The blinds are closed. And if you close yourself off with your children, if you just want to get rid of them for the day because you had a hard day at work, they are going to be in trouble, and you are doing your children a disservice to their life. And
Mm-hmm.
what is normal, what is not normal. You have to explain to your children what normal is, because I had no idea him touching my hair, him calling me nicknames, him showing me pornography, him touching me, him groping me. I had no idea that was wrong.
Mm.
I
So
had
now it went from age 12 to what age?
to the age of 20 when I could finally get away from him. And
In
once,
between that stage, in between that period, and again, you not knowing that this is not wrong because he groomed you, was there ever a time in between that period that you became so mentally disturbed?
yes, yes, absolutely. And
Explain it.
I'm going to break down the phases of abuse, because there are phases that you go through with your abuser, your attacker, especially when it's been going on for long periods of time. So once it started at the age of 12, the penetration, and he said, this has to be, you are now a woman. I'm going to treat you like a woman at 12 years old because I'm in love with a woman, all while being married with kids. So me thinking that this is normal, I have to be quiet because this man has threatened to kill me. I couldn't think at the age of 12 that that wasn't normal, that he threatened to
Mhm,
kill me if I say anything, right? So he threatened to kill me. He threatened to kill my family. He threatened to have me put away in foster homes and every kind of threat you could imagine. Not to mention putting his gun to my head several times, putting it in my mouth, the gun in my mouth. If any child under that duress will fold and do what this predator wants.
mhm,
So I
mhm,
thought that was normal. So in the phases of going into my teenage years, I started to rebel. 15 and 16 years old, I started to hate my abuser because I grew to be in love with him during that time. From
mhm,
from 12 to at 10 to 12, I thought he was the greatest thing. From
mhm,
12 to 15, I was in love with this man who was
mhm,
abusing me. 16, I started to rebel. 17, I started to be beat all the time because I didn't want to have sex 3 times a day. The rebel actually started at 14 when he threw me from a moving car because I didn't want to have sex the third time that day. That is why people, these scars are here. This is part of my journey, if you can see it. These scars are here. My eye was almost gone. My skull was cracked. They said I probably shouldn't have lived, but God said otherwise, right?
mhm.
And that's why he whispered to me, people in the trauma room, if you tell, I will kill you next time. You're going to do what I say. So sometime after that, I wanted to die. I wanted this predator to follow through on what he was saying. I wanted him to kill me because anything will be better than suffering this everyday torture of having sex constantly. I don't even know how he had a job as a police officer. Every single day, even in high school, he was before high school. He in middle school, he would meet me before I get to school and throw me in his van, and I was with him the entire day at hotels, the hotels that you could walk right into. People pay attention. These are not the hotels, these are motels that you can walk into from outside and nobody is paying you any mind. You could be screaming for help, and guess what? You are screaming and no words are coming out because no one sees you. Everyone sees this great man, this great police officer. He couldn't do such a thing when he was telling everybody that this is his daughter. This is my goddaughter. This is, you know, she's friends with my daughter. She's best friends with my daughter. All these things happening. And go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. A couple of questions. One, when you had that accident, you had to go to the hospital, no doubt.
Yeah.
What was told to your mother, or what did you tell the paramedics when they came after that occurred? And did you miss school so much that your mom noticed and was dad in the picture?
Wow, that is a great, great question to ask. When this occurred, an ambulance came and took me to the hospital. It was right there on Tabor Avenue, right in Almy. An ambulance took me to the hospital. They were asking me what happened. I would not speak to them. I was that afraid that I would not speak to them. When I got to the trauma room, before my mother got there, he whispered to me, if you tell, I'm going to kill you for real next time. So when my mother asked me what happened because my face was unrecognizable, I said, I jumped from the vehicle. Then I look at it like maybe I should have jumped because maybe I'd have did a better job, at that time that I thought like anything is better than dealing with him. But I lived. I didn't die. I lived. And I know I have a purpose because I have to tell you about this story. This man threatened me even in the trauma room that he would kill me and he would get away with it. He would poison me. He would chop me up and throw me inside rivers at different entry points. And no one would believe me and I would be ashamed and all of these bad things that all of us go through as victims. So my dad was in the picture. My dad was a lot older than this gentleman at the time. So I refused to allow my dad to either be killed or go to jail at the age he was. So it's a dual protection I was doing, trying to survive and live and protect my family. I couldn't deal with the fact that maybe he would kill them and not me to get to me. I couldn't deal with being the blame when really instilling in your child that your parents are the superhero to protect you when you're not able to protect yourself. And if I knew that, if I thought that, no matter what he would have said, I'd have like, they're stronger than him. I'm going to tell. Please make your children believe and know that they are not alone and they don't have to hold things in. Every day they can come to you and speak to you about anything that's happening through your day.
Now, what gave you the strength to finally say that this man is doing this to me?
Miss Melany, remember when I just said that at the point I wanted him to kill me and nobody found out, but he wouldn't. That was a form of control. What gave me the strength to finally give in and break completely? Miss Melany, I took a gun and put it to my head and I pulled the trigger and the gun jammed. I then knew I didn't want to die without a purpose. I then knew that I had to tell someone, somebody, one person, because he's going to kill me soon. And somebody has to know something, because when he disseminates me, when he disseminates my body, no one will ever know what happened to me. So if I can just tell one person, I was so afraid to tell anybody. But I told one person, and that one person took me down there to get a restraining order. Now, people, this was a police officer. I know they get special treatment. I know it's so much harder to come forward. I know that it was a battle for me to fight a police officer because I was fighting the whole police department, people. I turned around and my thoughts were to initially tell when I became a police officer because they would have to believe me just as though they would believe him because he had a badge and I knew I needed to get a badge for them to even look at me. Apologies. I knew I had to get a badge for them to even look at me, to even think that I would tell the truth. But it didn't happen that way. It happened when I told on them, Miss Melany. They did a 15-minute interview. Special victims kicked me right out of that office. I got a restraining order. They dropped it within a week or 2 weeks' time. And they said it wasn't severe enough. Now I know this TV show, Miss Melany, cannot disclose everything that I
Mm-hmm.
that I've been through,
Right.
all the problems that I had, all the beatings that I've taken, all the
Mm-hmm.
broken ribs, the fracture, the broken orbital sockets, the constant sexual nature of an animal. This show cannot hold that much time up. But I want to tell you that when I broke to give myself a purpose, to give me a chance, even if that meant that I had to be one of them to leave this place on this plane. But someone had to know about me. Someone had to know my story and my name. So I had to tell on his name with his good reputation. And guys, it wasn't easy because they protected him. They let this man, they let this man retire the day before he got arrested. People. They did a search warrant on his house November 17th, 2009. They let him retire November 18th and they arrested him November 19th. And guess what? They still let him work with children up until the end of December of 2009 at the rec center, at Philadelphia Rec Center. And Marion Tasco, the councilwoman at that time for that area, put a stop to that.
Mm.
She did. She pointed out that it was a cover up and they said it was an oversight. I don't believe that for one moment.
Mm.
I believe that they protected him because that investigation, I had to keep complaining. I had to keep going, threatening them, saying I was going to go to the media. But guess what? Special victims never helped me. It was an internal affairs sergeant at the time that did my investigation. They did a sex crimes case and they won. It gave it to the DA finally at the end of 2007. They started investigating. 2009, he was arrested, even though I told in January of 2006.
Wow. Wow. Now, tell me something. So you said that you wanted to become a police officer. Did you become a police officer? And what made you want to become a police officer because of what happened? And after he was locked up, was there a trial? And did he serve time? And did you receive any backlash from other officers because he had such a great reputation? Three hard questions.
Mm, 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 mm. So let's get to the first one. I became a police officer because I wanted to, after initially wanting to tell on him, I wanted to go after all the bad police officers that that were hurting people, not just for rape, but just hurting people unjustly, but mainly rapes and molestations. I geared myself to want to come across those calls and be the first one to those locations to help.
Mm,
I mean, I want
mm,
everybody in any time of service, but I wanted to, that was my goal to be there for them, to let them know like, hey, I know some of what you're going through. You could talk to me. Let's get you some help.
mm,
Let's get you where you need to be. And I can help you. I can guide you. I can get you there. Right.
mhm.
So that was my goal of becoming a police officer after initially having to tell before I became a police officer.
Okay.
And then the next question was I can't remember what you asked. Sorry.
So the next question was, I believe this was the next question, or well, I know it was three. Um, did you receive any backlash from other officers because he had such a great reputation in the police district?
So before the trial, oh, that's it. We did go to trial, but before the trial took place, it hit the newspaper December 22nd, 2009. The backlash before they knew who I was, and then I'll tell you when they didn't know who the person was. I was in the police cars with individuals saying how bad this woman is, how she's so mad because he don't want to leave his wife, how she's just a stupid bee, and all kind of names I've had to endure. And they had no idea that they was talking to the victim. And I had to hold that in. I had to hold it in like I held in everything that he's ever done to me. But you know what I said? You know what I said? I can hold it in just a little longer to put this monster where he needs to be, or at least do my best to do so. So I had to hold it in every time I heard someone speak about it and go cry when I go home. Now I'll be a different person going home. So yes, I received backlash. And then once the trial came, all of the police officers that was on his side is unimaginable that they will want to defend a predator of this nature. You wear a badge. We arrest people for hurting people, for taking these people and violating them and killing them. We arrest people for that. And you guys are backing the very thing that we go up against. When it hits home for you, well, it hit home for me too. Well, by the time we went to trial, I was already a police officer, Miss Melany. I've already transitioned and became a police officer. And I was getting death threats on my cars, not to show up for court. I had a very few people on my side, very few people. And the whole courtroom was filled up for this predator. But by the end of the 2 weeks, his side dwindled down. Because it started to make sense to some of the officers that saw me at 12 years old, 13 years old, 14 years old, with him all the time.
And they knew something was wrong. How much time, real quick, how much time did he get?
He got 17 and a half to 35 years.
And
he was found guilty December 14th of 2010.
Okay. He pled guilty.
No. He was found guilty.
He was found guilty.
5 felony.
Okay. Miss Rose, I want to thank you for telling your story, and thank you so much for your courage. Thank you. And thank you that you are educating parents. That's so crucial. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful. And I look forward to speaking to more and more and everyone, all parents, especially parents, and parents of those who've been through abuse that may not be able to see the signs of their children going through it. So thank you for allowing me to be here. And to the people, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today. Very hard conversation, but parents, it is extremely, extremely important for you to pay attention to your children. And if your children is in any type of activities, do not drop them off and leave. Predators look for every single opportunity. Peace and love.